Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, elementary and high school age. Today, I'm actually going to be going through the Essentialism Planner by Greg McKeown. It's a 90-day planner. I did not know that he had a planner, and you all know how much I love planners, but I also really love these 2 books. Essentialism, so good. And then Effortless is a book that I read more recently. I didn't actually know that he had a new book, and this came out in 2021, and I think I read it maybe right at the end of 2024 or the beginning of 2025. I'm not entirely sure. I could probably look in my book journal, but I haven't done that yet. So I have been working on a workshop for my membership community all about the 13th week, which is a concept from the book, The 12-Week Year, all about resetting your goals and setting yourself up for a new quarter or a new season. And I am taking a lot of information from the 12-week year, but I also wanted to include things from Essentialism and also from Effortless and a little bit of the TechWise family. And so I've been doing a lot of research recently and came across a podcast that Greg McKeown did with Tim Ferriss, maybe in around December, and it was really good. And he happened to mention that he had a planner. And so I said, well, I'm going to get that and see what it's like. Now, I know that I personally will not use this planner. I will continue to use my Erin Condren products, my Passionate Penny Pincher home planner, my book journal, my power sheets, all of that stuff is what I will continue using. But I wanted to see the information that is in here. I also wanted to see if maybe it was something my husband might be interested in. I believe it's undated. Like I said, it is a quarterly planner. It's a 90-day planner. So we'll see how it looks on the inside. But if you are looking for a planner that maybe is a little bit more open-ended or more goal-focused, this might be a good option. It was $18 on Amazon, I think. And so obviously if you have to buy 4, it can get a little pricey, but depending on what's in here, it might be worth it. I'm not sure. It's just like a book, but mine came and the cover is kind of bent. You see that there is a ribbon bookmark in here, if I can find it. It doesn't lay flat. I mean, this is not a planner like the planner community comes to expect, but I did still want to check it out. So 1 ribbon bookmark in here. Okay, so when we open it up, it's black right here. It says this planner belongs to, and then there's an introduction. Growing up in England, I remember often being lost while my dad drove around. It was decades before GPS would be available, and oh, how I felt its absence. Round and round we would go, sometimes literally round and round at a roundabout. Or a rotary if you live in Maine. Not sure which turn to take. I'd love to say we all laughed about it, but I remember the tension was palpable. One particular evening, we became so turned around that after hours of searching, we gave up and drove back home, never finding our destination. So essentially, he's kind of giving you a little introduction to the planner. It says down at the bottom, this planner acknowledges that life, much like flying, is full of unexpected deviations. By committing to using this planner every day for 90 days, you're embarking on a voyage of continuous realignment to what's essential. Energy. And then here it says, in embracing the Essentialism Planner, you join a community of thinkers, doers, and dreamers who've dared to defy the conventional wisdom of more is better. You become part of a movement that champions the elegance of simplicity, the strength of focus, and the joy of discovering that in the essence of less lies the abundance of a life well lived. Let this planner be your guide, your compass, and your constant companion as you navigate the beautiful complexity of life, always coming back to what is essential day after day. And that is really the whole focus of Greg McKeown's books, Essentialism and Effortless. It is finding the most important thing, focusing on that. Another good book, if you're looking to focus on what's most important, is The One Thing by Gary Keller. I really like that book as well. So it says, the basic value proposition of essentialism: only once you give yourself permission to stop trying to do it all to stop saying yes to everyone can you make your highest contribution toward the things that really matter? So then you kind of get into some beginning information before the planner, I would say. The way of the essentialist. How often do you say yes simply to please or to avoid trouble? Or because yes has just become your default response? Do you ever feel busy but not productive, like you're always in motion but never getting anywhere? If you answered yes to any of these, the way out is the Essentialism Planner. Then it has non-essentialist, everything to everyone, essentialist, less but better. So that's what you see. The undisciplined pursuit of more, the disciplined pursuit of less, what you're doing, and then plateau in your progress, do something truly great. So just giving you some examples of like what you're seeing, doing, and getting from becoming an essentialist. Then it talks about the personal quarterly offsite. And this is kind of the reset for the new quarter. And he's just talking about taking one day. If you watched my intro to the 13th week, I'm actually taking a full week and I'm focusing on reflection, refreshing my goals, renewal, as well as rest. And I'm taking little bits from a bunch of different areas and incorporating them into something that I'm hoping will work well for me, and trying to implement this new system so that I'm taking time to rest, but also taking time to really think out what I want to do next, instead of just trying to plan as quickly as possible and try and get as many things done as possible. It's all about slow this year for me. So he says, holding a personal quarterly offsite is a way to see what's happening in our lives, why it matters, and what we need to focus on next. It's a chance to get away from the reactive meeting to meeting pulse that can lead to otherwise intelligent people being tricked by the trivial. Every 90 days, you take a day to go somewhere away from the deafening digital noise and usual routines of your busy life and reflect on what really matters. If you can't take a day, try devoting a few hours on the weekend to think about 3 big questions. What's essential that I'm under-investing in? What's non-essential that I'm over-investing in? How can I make it effortless to get the most important things done? And then it says the following pages will take you through this quarter's personal offsite. So the first section is explore. What is essential? What is something essential you are under-investing in? Why is this important to you? So is there something that you know that you want to be spending more time in, but you are not spending the time in it? What is the reasoning for not taking the time for this thing that you find a lot of value in? Oftentimes it can be we have a lot of things just happening to us and we're not being as proactive with our decision making. That includes creating a yes and no list to make sure that we have pre-made decisions. Decision fatigue is a real thing, especially for moms, especially for homeschool moms. And so making those lists ahead of time, making those decisions ahead of time makes the decision in the moment very easy because you've already committed to those yeses and nos. So exploring what is essential. What does success look like for you over the next 90 days? Now, I think that one of the best things that you can get from the book, The 12-Week Year, is how our brains are not as long-term as we would like to believe. So yes, we have 1-year goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals. However, our brains can only really focus on the next 90 days. And so understanding that and planning for the next 90 days, creating those action plans and the steps that you need to take in order to make progress, that's about as much as our brains can handle. And also just overall, when you are looking so far out, it's hard to plan that time because you just never know what will happen. For instance, even though I had a lot of plans for the first quarter, we had a ton of things come up this quarter that really interrupted what I could actually get done. And so if I had planned out all of the steps for the entire year, by this time in the year, I would have to completely redo my entire year's worth of action plans because nothing really turned out the way that I had planned originally. And so I've had to make adjustments. So what does success look like for you over the next 90 days? How many minutes or hours per week would it take to make this happen? This is something that is going to be kind of trial and error. You can only give a good idea. It's very hard to say, okay, this is the exact number of task blocks I have to work on a particular task, especially if it's something new. You don't know how long it's going to take you to do those things. I have been using the app, I think it's called A Tracker, to kind of track some of my daily tasks. It is a free app, but I think that you need to pay for the basic $5, $2 to $5 to actually get the functionality where you can put in all of the tasks you're doing. I'm using this so that I can understand how long am I spending homeschooling? How long am I spending doing different home management tasks? How long does this particular work task take me? And it's been really enlightening, and there's a lot of reporting associated with it, and I kind of have things color coded for homeschool related, home related, goal related, work related type things, so that I kind of know which category each thing is. And I do time block my days. If you're new, welcome, number one. Number two, I have a whole playlist of plan with me's where I go through how I'm planning out my weeks, and then daily plan with me's come a week later where I'm going through each individual day, and you kind of see how things turn out, and I update you as I go along. But even though I love planning, it's unrealistic, especially with kids and a family, to feel as though you can control every single minute of your day. So having kind of an understanding of how much time you can put towards these things and then how much you would need to put towards these things, it's good. And then you kind of just have to meet in the middle. Then eliminate what is non-essential. What are some non-essential activities you are over-investing in? And why are you spending time on these activities? Another good way to look at this is to look at the Eisenhower matrix. The book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, goes through that matrix extensively, but there's also a great brain dump journal from Cultivate What Matters, which goes through how to organize all of the things that you're doing. Let me just grab it so you can see it. So the Eisenhower matrix is really helpful when you're trying to figure out what's important and what's not important. And you kind of separate things by urgent and important, important and less urgent and less important, and then less urgent and less important. And you really don't want to be down here. So you want to be up here. These are the things that you really need to do urgently. And then these are the things that you're going to schedule. These things down here, you're going to want to delegate to somebody else. Either if it's chores or something like that, you can involve your family, or you can get outside help. If it's work type tasks and you have somebody underneath you in your business or whatnot, you could delegate here. And then over here, these are things that are distractions and you just want to get rid of them. So the Eisenhower matrix is a great way to kind of figure out where you're spending your time and maybe why you're spending time on these activities and how to mitigate that. Then how much time did you spend on them over the last 90 days? Now, if this is the first time that you've really been focusing on looking at your time, it might be difficult to have concrete numbers here, but just kind of estimate and see, and then make sure that you're keeping track over the next 90 days so that when you come back in and do this for your next season, you have some more concrete information to put here. What is the full price, financial, emotional, mental, you are paying for these things? And that's going to be, this probably wouldn't be enough space for me because I love journaling. If you've been watching any of my goals videos, you will know I have a goals notebook that I use with my power sheets, and that's because I'm a very wordy person and I like to reflect a lot. I know that not everybody likes that, but for me, it is so valuable to understand what I've done and what I want to do in the future. And then you're moving to the next section, execute. How can this be easy? Who do you need to talk with to make this happen? What really matters to them right now? What would make this a win-win? How can you say what you want in terms of their agenda? Now, some of this can be self-motivating. You don't necessarily have to go to outside people, depending on what the goal or task or system is that you're working on in this coming season. But if you need additional help, or if your goals are directly influenced by somebody else doing their part, this is going to be very, very helpful. But the focus is really, how can this be easy? How can we implement systems to make sure that we are making progress? And then we move into the Essentialist Daily Planner. Now that you've finished the personal quarterly offsite, it's time to live like an essentialist. The following 2 methods will be utilized on the daily planning pages that follow to help you reduce the clutter and focus on what's truly essential for that day. So the power half an hour. Have you ever felt bombarded by the amount of noise there is in the world today? I don't mean literal noise, but all the digital noise. the internal mental noise and the noise between people that makes it hard to even understand what somebody else is thinking. In a world of constant commotion and distraction, it's essential that we learn how to eliminate the noise so we can better hear the signal that is leading us toward our highest potential. Enter the Power Half an Hour. This kickstarts every daily page in the planner. During this dedicated time of 30 minutes, you will synthesize thoughts, gain clarity, and uncover deeper insights into complex issues. This time allows you to focus on what truly matters and can be particularly effective when facing challenging decisions or when seeking to understand the core of a situation. What is going on in my life? List all your important projects, tasks, and responsibilities. So what? Why does all of this matter? This is a connect the dots question. What does all of this mean? Imagine you're a journalist writing a headline for your life. What is the news in your life? What is the headline? Once I wrote, "You're overwhelmed, it's time to breathe," in answer to this question. Another time I wrote "work" as my headline because I felt clear about what was essential, but now it was time to make it happen. Now what? What's important now? Once you know what's important and why, it's time to design your day, the 1-2-3 method. The 1-2-3 method. Here's how it works. 1 essential project and work on it for 3 hours. This is today's priority. 2 urgent and essential tasks that must get done to keep you from falling behind. That would be in this quadrant of the Eisenhower matrix. 3 maintenance items to complete to stay organized and prevent problems. The rhythm of our lives and the weight of our choices hinge on a simple understanding, clarity and prioritization. Yet as the demands of our modern age increase, we often find ourselves juggling the urgent with the essential. This dance, while complex, becomes easier to navigate with the 1-2-3 method. For more info on the Power Half an Hour, check out episode 233 of my podcast. And to learn more about the 1-2-3 method, listen to episode 225. I didn't even know that Greg McEwen had a podcast. And that's where I have a bit of a disconnect because I love books, but I don't listen to podcasts. I go through seasons where I will listen to occasional podcasts if I see somebody doing a particular podcast that I want to listen to. But more often, I read the books that these podcasters have rather than listening to the podcast. But I bet that would be very helpful. So this is really interesting. 1 essential project to work on for 3 hours. Now, obviously, this could be challenging, especially if you're homeschooling or if you have young kids and you are trying to figure out how to manage your days. I love time blocking. I talk a lot about time blocking through all of my Plan With Me's. I have a workshop on time blocking in my membership community if you're interested in how to implement that in your own schedule. When my kids were younger, a lot of my dedicated time to do things was in the afternoon during our rest time or nap time, and that continued right through the elementary ages. Now I have older kids and they are able to kind of be on their own for large portions of the day. We still do really heavy, intense homeschooling in the morning, but then the afternoons are more for me. That's just a life stage. As your kids get older, that kind of happens. So depending on your stage of life, this could be very easy or it could be challenging. You may need to work on 1 essential project for 1 Pomodoro cycle. And we have a co-working live stream over in my membership community each week where we go through and we chat a little bit and then we work through 2 Pomodoro cycles. A Pomodoro cycle, if you've never heard of it, it's from the Pomodoro technique. It's 25 minutes of focused work, followed by a 5-ish minute break. I feel like a lot of us can find 25 minutes in our day to work uninterrupted. And that may mean putting on a TV show for your kids. It may mean letting them play a game on an iPad. It might mean putting on an audiobook for them, or again, while they're napping or resting or whatever. But that 25 minutes of focus time, when you focus on 1 project for 25 minutes and you're not trying to do a bunch of different things, you will make a lot of progress. I promise you. I promise you. So you may have to adjust this, and that's okay. Progress is still progress. You know, little progress is still progress. So don't look at this and say, oh my gosh, how can I work for 3 hours on 1 project? All right, and then you're moving into your daily planning pages. Now, they're not dated, but they do say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. These daily planning pages are walking through the 1-2-3 method. You have what is going on in my life, some space to write that down. So what? Why does all of this matter? Now what? Your 1 essential project, your priority for the day, your 2 urgent and essential tasks, 3 maintenance items, and then other tasks or notes. As you're going throughout the day, some things may pop up and you have a space to write them down. Now, when things pop up for me throughout the day, I write it in my master to-do list and then I revisit it weekly, unless it's something that I have to do right then. If it's a 2-minute or less task, I do it right then. But oftentimes I will have ideas or things that I just jot down and then I go through that periodically. And then on the bottom here, they have, well, this is a quote: "If you don't prioritize your life, someone else will," from Essentialism. And then on Tuesday, it says, "Today's challenge: non-essentialists forfeit the right to choose. Essentialists exercise the power of choice. Today, catch yourself saying the words, 'I have to.' Replace them with, 'I choose to.'" So you're having the same layout for each day of the week. So it's going to either be a quote down here or a challenge. It looks like they alternate. And then you get to Saturday, and it looks like it is the same Saturday and Sunday, the same layout. You're still doing the same stuff. So each day has its same layout. And then at the end of the week, you have the weekly reflection. Step 1, practice radical gratitude. Review the last week and write down 5 things you're grateful for, including the tough things. Preview the week. Review your calendar and write down the major events or activities already scheduled for the coming week. Invest intentionally and divest deliberately. Write down 2 to 3 essentials you're currently under-investing in. Write down 2 to 3 non-essentials you're currently over-investing in. So this is good to find clarity, and then you're going to choose this week's goals. Capture the 3 essential items you want to accomplish over the coming week. And then you move into the next week, Monday through Sunday, and then once you get to Sunday, you end up with a new weekly reflection. So let's see if at the end of a month, it doesn't look like there is a monthly reflection section, so it is just the weekly reflection. So that's how it's going to go. I'm not entirely sure how many weeks are in here, if it's 13 weeks or 12 weeks, but once you get to the end, there are some resources here, Greg McEwen's books, and then you have 6 notes pages on the bottom here. The pages are numbered, so that is helpful if you want to refer to something else, especially if you are writing other tasks and notes and you want to make sure that you take note of it in maybe one of your planning pages. So lots of space. I think that this is really good. I think that it gives you enough prompting to utilize this planner well. I mean, it feels like just a normal book. It doesn't lay flat or anything like that, but I think that as you break the spine and stuff, it kind of can be a little bit better. I think that this is very, very good. I really like it a lot. I kind of wish that they had an option on a coil because I think it would be more useful, but for me personally, but I like how they set up each week. And then I also really like that there is the weekly reflection. I do weekly planning. I don't necessarily do a weekly reflection like this, but I think that it would be very valuable. So this is the Essentialism Planner, and I am going to see if my husband might want to try it out. He's not a planner person, guys. I have purchased probably every single planner that I can think of for my husband over the years: bullet journals, notebooks, the Full Focus planner. I've even gotten him Erin Condren planners from their Focus collection, softbound planners, all kinds of things. And none of it has really stuck for him. And I'm not sure that this would either, but I think that this would be really good for your spouse, and it would also give you guys a jumping off point with those weekly reviews to kind of make plans together as a couple and for your family. So overall, I really, really like this planner. So this is my review and walkthrough of the Essentialism Planner. If you have questions about anything that I talked about, please let me know in the comments, or you can email me. My contact form is always in the description box. Again, if you would like more help and encouragement around home and homeschooling and goals, I would love for you to come check out my membership community. Like I said, we are working through the 13th week workshop right now, and next week is actually when I'm going to be doing my 13th week. I'm really excited about it. So thank you again so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.